morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? Wonderful. Good. So today we're going to learn about something a little different, but you guys will be really good at it by the end of the day. We're going to learn about polynomials and the distributive property. But before we do, I'm going to ask you some questions just to see where we are all at as far as knowing a couple of definitions that you may have already heard. So I'd like you guys to get your clickers, if that's okay. And we are going to answer these three questions. And the first one is, do you know what like terms are? So answer yes, A for yes, B for no, and C for not sure. Okay, let's see. We have one yes and two no's, and that's completely okay. We're going to review that in just a second, but I'm going to continue just asking these next few questions. Okay, so basically we just need to do a quick review of all of this stuff. And I'm going to go over here on the board, and I'm just going to write a really simple mathematical expression, which sounds like a big term, but it's really not. We're going to use the example 3x plus 1. Okay? Now, we're looking at the terms variable and coefficient for this particular part here. Now, anytime you see a letter in algebra, that's a variable. Anytime you see x, y, z, t, s, anything like that, that is what the variable, definition of a variable is. It basically, depending on the problem, the value of that number will vary. That's where the word variable comes from. So we're going to take some notes really quick, and we're going to color code this. So the x in this equation, we're going to use, you don't have to color code it. If you have some way of just differentiating the two terms, that's fine. So for this one, the blue part is the variable in the problem. Now, the coefficient, that sounds like a big scary term, but it's really not that bad. Basically, it's just the number in front of the variable. So for this example, that would be 3. That is our coefficient. Now, coefficient can be anything, a whole number, a negative number, a fraction, basically anything that's in front of a variable is a coefficient. So we're just going to keep that in mind. Okay, so now that we've done some activities on polynomials, we're going to discuss something called the distributive property. This is something you may or may not have heard about before, but it's pretty simple mathematical definition here. Basically, what we're going to do is you're going to use this definition of A times B plus C equals AB plus AC. Now, I'm going to come over here and just show you how they get from step 1 to step 2. So we have A times B plus C. Okay? Everybody see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. All they do is they're going to distribute this number in front into the two terms in the parentheses. So we're going to take this A times B and put it down here. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to distribute the A to the C and put that over here. And then whatever is inside this parentheses at the time that we're doing this, we're going to put it right between the two. Okay, did everybody see how we did that? Basically, we're going to watch this video here on Khan Academy. It's just a pretty brief video, but it's a different perspective on how to use the distributive property and like terms. Basically, it's going to make you think, oh, it's not as hard as it looks when you see this, so I'm hoping this is kind of an eye-opener for some of you guys.
I've gotten feedback that all the Chuck Forrest imagery in the last video might have been a little bit too overwhelming. So for this video, I've included something a little bit more soothing. So let's try to simplify some more expressions, and we'll see we're just applying ideas that we already knew about. So let's say I want to simplify the expression 2 times 3x plus 5. Well, this literally means 2 3x plus 5s. So this is the exact same thing as, so this is 1 3x plus 5. And then to that, I'm going to add another 3x plus 5. This is literally what 2 times 3x plus 5 means. Well, this is the same thing as, if we just look at it right over here, we have now 2 3x's. So we can write it as 2 times 3x. Plus, we have 2 5s. Plus, we have 2 5s. So plus 2 times 5. You might say, hey Sal, isn't this just the distributive property that I know from arithmetic? I've essentially just distributed the 2 times 3x, 2 times 3x, plus 2 times 5, and I would tell you, yes, it is. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is just to show you that it is exactly what you already know. But with that out of the way,
Okay,
let's
so-
continue to simplify it.
As you can see just from this video, this is something that you've been doing forever and you just haven't realized it because what you've been doing since, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, it's a little more simple than this. You're not multiplying something that's, this big. It's just it's something simple. So this just gives you an idea that, hey, 2 times 3x plus 5 is the same thing as 3x plus 5 plus 3x plus 5 because that's 2 3x plus 5s. So if you're having trouble figuring this out in the beginning, say you have something, you probably don't want to distribute an 8 or a 10 in there because that would take some time, but if you're stuck on just the simple steps on how this works, this is a great way to go about it. Write it out as if you're writing 3x plus 5 plus 3x plus 5, and if it was a 3 instead of a 2, you'd write another plus 3x plus 5, and that will give you the exact same answer. So it's almost like you can check your work. If you're feeling a little less confident than some of the other students and you want to check your work, that is completely okay, and I actually encourage it because that's how you master this. It's all about practicing and making those connections. So let's make this connection. Hey, this is arithmetic. This is stuff I've been doing forever, so now it shouldn't be so intimidating to look at this kind of thing. So I'm hoping that that's what it was for you guys to be able to watch that. And we're going to see how well you can do, and it looks like we have a lot of tough questions here, but we're going to walk through a couple of them, and then I'm going to have you guys do the others individually, and I'm just going to come around and walk around. But we have a negative 4x squared minus 5xy plus 3y squared. Okay, so we're going to distribute this. We have a negative 4 times x squared. Now we're going to distribute this negative 4 times negative 5xy. Now, who knows the rule? What's a negative times a negative? Positive. So keep that in mind. These signs are very important. So you have a negative 4 times a negative 5. That's a positive 20. And then you put in the xy. Now you have a negative 4 times a positive 3y squared. So we have a negative times a positive. That's going to stay a negative. So we have a negative 12y squared. So now your ticket out the door, I would like you guys to each write a 3-sentence summary of what you've learned today. You can use the video, you can use what we've discussed, but make sure that the vocab terms distributive property and polynomial are somewhere in that summary because those are obviously the 2 biggest aspects of this lesson. So if you guys could go ahead and write a quick summary, and then as soon as you're done, you can head on out and we're done for the day. So go ahead and write that down. I'll come around and collect them when you guys are done.